Hello, you are very welcome to the Under Center podcast. Dara here with you. Delighted as always to be joined by my co-host Fionn. Fionn, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, back in the passenger seat there. Pretty good. Some great games to talk about this week. It's really exciting to get week one off to a banger.
Yeah, back in the passenger seat. You very kindly took over hosting duties last week. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it was a record-breaking show, but I don't like to brag too much.
I have no problem if you want me to take a step to the
best
side.
season kickoff show we've ever had, I believe, by the numbers.
I think that was more down to
your
brand new
absence.
co-host. To a brand new co-host, actually. I was going to try and be positive about this and not be negative. Joining me fresh off his first week as a new member of the Under Center podcast, Alex Sims is back on with us. Alex, how are you, pal?
Oh, good. Body's hurting, but ready to talk some ball.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking a good bit about your game on Sunday against the Wexford Eagles. I am extremely jealous that you did get to play a game, and I still have to wait till the 23rd of March. Fionn, I'm still jealous that you get to play this week, and I have to wait till the 23rd of March. And for our guest, I'm very jealous as well, because you get to play this weekend, and I still have to wait till the 23rd of March. Joining us this evening from the Craigavon Cowboys is Mr. Scott Buchanan. Scott, how are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Well, look, listen, I guessed correctly who I was talking to in the Cowboys Instagram page, that it wasn't your brother Joe. So that's why we were able to have you on the show this evening. Now, if I did get Joe, was Joe going to come on, or did you call dibs from minute?
Yeah, I was going to ask her, have we got beef with Joe or something? Why would Joe not be interested?
No, I think I've got a mask of Joe here somewhere. I would just slip on.
I don't think we have beef with Joe, but like Craigavon are very popular guys.
They are. This week, they are on every podcast in the nation. Yeah.
Well, look, listen. I reached out to your current team there, Fionn, and I wasn't even graced with a response asking if anybody wanted to come on.
Yeah, well, I don't think your power rankings did you any favors there, Dara. It certainly didn't do me any favors of training. So I imagine.
Hold on a second. Hold on. At least they were in the power rankings, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with shit from another team.
From the Admirals. Ireland's biggest rivalry at the moment in AFI.
Well, look, listen, I was kind of looking at the score updates on Sunday, and I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble here, because 24-0, they're up against the Vikings, and I don't even have them in the power rankings. So I'm going to hear about at the weekend. So I want to officially, on behalf of the Under Center podcast, thank the UL Vikings for coming back and drawing that game 24-all. You justified your spot in the power rankings and justified me not putting Cork in for the time being. Always subject to change, I should admit as well. We're going to look back at week one's games to start off the show. We're going to then move on to week two's games. And obviously, Scott will have a chat with yourself about Craigavon and how things have been going this year. Since, Alex, you were the only person to play this weekend, I guess we're going to have to start with the Wexford Eagles and the Loud Mavericks. It's 19 points to 34. I know I kind of made it sound like you play for Wexford Eagles at the start of that. Great story. Wexford start life back in Division 1 with a tough loss, despite only leading 7-0 at the half. The Mavericks adjusted at halftime and came out and blitzed the Eagles in the second half. Alex, first of all, how's the body? And second of all, how was the game?
Yeah, definitely feeling sore. Life in the AFI in your 30s means Mondays and even now into Tuesdays are tough. But no, I mean, feeling good after getting out of Wexford with the win. It was probably sloppy to start with, the football. I think both teams kind of just getting back in the swing of it after a good 8 months off. So we got there in the end. In the first half, we finally broke the score in the second quarter, and then made some adjustments at halftime and really just put the foot in the gas, or broke our running game for some big runs, and performed well. And then got 34-0 up in the end of the fourth quarter, and then Wexford were able to take advantage of some good field position toward the end and some tiring bodies, and put up 19 points of their own. Fair play to them, kept fighting to the end. So yeah, good game.
Yeah, Fionn, obviously, as we are two players that played against the Wexford Eagles last year and know exactly what sort of offense and defense that they run. To see that the offense sort of stayed in the game till the end and were able to put up 19 points, like Alex said, and they kept fighting right to the very end. And with that unique offense that they run, with that 3-man wishbone I formation that they do, and that kind of just beats you down. It's still a good effort in their first week back in Division 1, and sure does sound by the sounds of, I should say, from Alex and other people I've spoken to who've been at the game, that Wexford are a team that no one should take lightly this year.
Yeah, obviously, whenever you can get a champ into the next division, they're always going to come in with a lot more confidence than someone, let's say, like the Giants that have been moved up. I'm not saying the Giants aren't confident, but do you know what I mean? It certainly gives you a boost. It's a different platform to start your season from. Going up against the previous season's finalists was never going to be an easy task. We talked about that with Alex as well. And look, Alex and the Mavericks got off to a great start. They played like we expected them to play. I think their number one ranking is well justified now at this point. And I was surprised, I wasn't surprised, because based on we didn't play them last season, but we played against the Mavericks a couple of seasons before that. And I think they match up very well with this Eagles offense. It's speed. They're well able to cover sideline to sideline. And if you can do that, I think you take away a lot of the danger of the Eagles. So for me, on the Eagles' point of view, I think, look, you can certainly take a lot from it. As Alex said, every team week one is going to be finding your feet. It's about, can you take advantage of some of those situations to get your feet in underneath you nice and early? As Alex said, it probably took them a half to get going. It probably sounds like it took the Eagles 3 or 4 quarters to get going. But now that they have, I think it's going to be interesting for them, because as much as we'd hate to admit it, that I think this is a good step up in caliber from Division 2 that they faced. I don't think it's going to be panic stations by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be interesting now, right? Some of these lads will have played a lot of good games and a lot of handy wins last season. Now a question gets to be asked, and you really get to see the skills and talents of Coach Klatt and all the guys that they have there, and they get to answer the bell. And I think that's important for a team, especially you can build momentum really quickly. If you can get back and get a really nice win under your belt now into the next week that they play, I'm not sure exactly which week of the season it is, but through that next game, now they start to build momentum. You get to have that in your back pocket. If it turns out to be the ball final, you have confidence, number one, that you can score. And number two, you've seen what the Mavs can do. So you're coming in under no illusion. So I think both teams will be happy, as much as any team can be happy with a loss. I think, look, the Mavs showed their number one, and the Eagles knew they were going to be up against it. And they showed enough, especially in that fourth quarter, to come away with a few silver linings for themselves.
Yeah, the Eagles play the Razorbacks, I think, in 3 weeks' time. So that will be a very interesting game.
For sure. Absolutely. Scott, this obviously you and the Cowboys will be keen observer of this game on Sunday. Mavericks are one of the sides that probably you expect it to challenge yourselves for promotion back to the Premier Division. And, you know, the Eagles, I don't know if they were kind of an unknown coming into this. They keep things in-house very well, but sort of seeing the score line itself, what did you think? And do you think now that the Eagles have taken a step up in people's eyes in terms of possibly going for that fourth spot in the playoffs, or maybe even better?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was surprised at the score. Just getting the updates through, that it took them so long to score that run on offense. It's it's hard to stop, especially coming up against a team like yourselves, Alex, that have went to the ball in the final last year. I didn't expect that. But I think with them getting going in the fourth quarter and putting up 19 points, and I think 12 and a quarter, 19 points, 3 touchdowns, it's pretty good. If you get that going in the next game, who knows what they can do, where it will stop eventually.
Yeah. Well, we asked our listeners for their, hot takes from week one of the season, and one of them was that they believe that the Eagles are going to make the playoffs this year. Do you think, just one word answers, do you think that the Eagles are going to make the playoffs based solely just on this one game? Fionn, we'll go with you first.
No.
Alex.
You want me to, you're going to stick to the one word?
One word. Stick with one word.
No.
Scott.
Yes.
I'll even it up and I'll say yes. Why not?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You're going to put your neck on the line.
Let's do two. Well, I do all the time by the sounds of it, because anything I put up on the socials is me. Everyone just thinks it's me.
You've been throwing that neck around a little bit in this offseason, Lara, I have to admit.
Yeah, I give them another year. I think another year in the division next year, they'll definitely be up challenging for playoffs. I think this year they gotta test the waters, get used to football, this division again, and then I'd back them for playoffs next year. And I'd be remiss not to shout out the Wexford lads, a great bunch of lads, and they hosted us in their sponsors bar after the game with pizzas and beers. So great match, and a great company after the match as well. So fair play to them, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Grand. Okay, so for those that said no, Alex and Fionn, if they don't make the playoffs this year, would you put them as early favourites for the Shield?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're kind of forcing us to kind of explain our one-word answers. But to be honest, I'm just waiting for the next game. I just want to see how they respond. Like I said, it was a slow start. You got a score in the fourth quarter. Now you got to prove that was your start, right? That wasn't just a kind of end of the game score. So let's go. Let's start the Razorbacks game. I think that's going to tell us a whole heap about this Wexford Eagles team. So I'm willing to revisit that now as early as the next game. I don't think it's by any stretch just because of their newfound division. I just want to see that response before I'm willing to say. I'm not going to give it to them. You're going to have to show me that you can respond. It's a higher caliber of competition. So go out and prove it. I think they're perfectly capable of doing it, but I want to see it first. Yeah,
they're definitely in the chasing pack for me. But I would say I just give the nod to teams with a bit more experience for now. And they could well prove me wrong, and I kind of hope they do, because they're great lads.
Yeah. So you are right. The 24th of March, week 3, they are at home to the Razorbacks. So that's going to be an interesting game, especially for all the lads up in Belfast having to travel down. That's a not easy travel down to Wexford for sure. Even from Dublin or Louth, let alone Belfast. Yeah. So that's going to be a long day. Let's move on then to... Actually, let's talk about the Razorbacks. 44-0 winners against the Jets. The Razorbacks start with a dominant win, 6 touchdowns for them. For the Jets, all the hype going into this year is taking a bit of a gut punch. But hopefully they can turn it around. But it doesn't seem to get any easier on the schedule, because their next game is actually against Mr. Sims' Mavericks in April. Guys, 15-0 at halftime. Sort of the Jets were in it, but it seems as though, as the game went on, the Razorbacks were able to wear down the Jets, and then eventually sort of put up close to, a cricket score and sort of dominate the game.
Yeah, look, near neighbours, there won't be any love lost, and there's certainly been you're never fully up to date in the AFI, but it certainly seems like there's been plenty of players flown in either direction. I think, look, the Jets, as you said, it's a really difficult start to the season. The Razorbacks, first game of the season for every team is a tiny bit of an unknown, as much as you can prep for it. And the second game is when you want to try and get any momentum you've lost back again, and they've got to roll in against the Mavericks, who put on a show for the first game. So it does, as you said, it doesn't get any easier. I don't know if we're fully ready to stamp them as the same as last season. I certainly hope they don't. I want as much competition as we can get in Division 1. And I think on the flip side for the Razorbacks, huge amount to take away from them. Slow start, as I said, for every team, but they get the feet back underneath them and score a lot of points in the second half, as you mentioned. I think it's going to be interesting, right? I think unfortunately, you have to put a little grain of salt in if you're the Razorbacks. And again, you got to stamp your mark on the next game. If you're going with the Jets of last season, you're not really sure where that bar you just cleared is in terms of where the other teams are up. So certainly every win is great. It's a short season. We don't play 50 games, so every win counts. But where it puts you in the pecking order, I don't know if it's super clear yet. But at least you get all the guys a lot of confidence. That offense is going to have a lot of confidence in the defense, pitching a shutout as a defensive guy. That's always pleasing to see. So I think they could take a lot from it, but I'm just going to add in that tiny pinch of salt and just say, let's wait and see, boys. We don't know how this is all going to shake out after just 1 week.
Yeah, if there's ever a team that's not going to suffer from a slow start, it's probably the Razorbacks, because I don't believe they have off seasons. I think it might be against their religion. I'm not sure. It's something you have to swear to when you join the Razorbacks. No off seasons ever. So those lads got struck straight into it. Tough to see from the Jets side of things, but in this sport you got to just pick yourself up and keep going. They'll have a long break now until they come down to Dundalk to face up against us. So I expect them to fully analyse what went wrong and how they can best correct it. But as Fionn says, for the Razorbacks, they will have gotten minutes into, I assume, everyone's legs, gotten confidence up of lads, and they'll be raring to go down in Wexford to really put it up to the Eagles down there and just kind of prove that they're the ones that should be challenging to break into the playoffs over the Eagles. I think that's what they'll be out there to kind of prove, to get that last spot there. They really put down a marker for it if they pick up 2 wins, and they're impressive doing it.
Mm-hmm. We won't spend too much more time on the Razorbacks game. We'll move on to the Premier Division, and probably the game of the weekend, the UCD Rebels game. 42-40 UCD beat the Rebels. Again, the league starts with this matchup to start the season, and again it lives up to the billing. UCD scored with less than a minute left on the clock through Brandon Atwell, his second of the day. It still gave the Rebels and Ty Henry time to get up the field and score a game-winning score, I should say. Said score twice. But Ty throws an interception to close out the game. He had been on fire all game himself with 4 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing of his own. Alex, a huge early season statement from the Sentinels.
Yeah, I mean, stick these 2 in their own division, just play every week of the season. I don't think anyone could complain. It's the absolute gold standard for football, and it's just incredible to watch. I've seen some of the highlights on Instagram. It's proper football. So shout out to both teams there. And again, I don't think it's really going to concern the Rebels too much. The loss, I'm sure, it hurts them. Every loss does, but I think they'll be confident enough that when it comes back to playing this again, I'm sure in July, they'll be ready. They'll make their adjustments and they'll go again and have another slobber knocker. But in the meantime, they will know that they do have to focus on their other 7 games and those opponents. They can't take them for granted, but I wouldn't put it past them beating every single one of them and maybe finishing just behind UCD this year for a change.
Yeah, well, look, we don't like anyone just clean sweeping the division. The Rebels got it last year, and fair play to them. That's going to go down as one of the top seasons in AFI probably for a while. Mm-hmm. So it's fantastic that another team, that the UCD would manage to step up. Again, it's a huge rivalry. I think it's fantastic for the sport. Can I just say as well, all the coverage, like all the different photographers and videographers at that game did an absolutely cracking job. Absolutely no grainy, like 200 meter away footage. We got some unbelievable videos of all the different touchdowns, catches, some fantastic stuff, which is just going to serve the AFI in general as a whole, trying to gather new audiences. Absolute world of credit to them. But what I think is great about it is how ominous is it? Number one, UCD beat the unbeaten Rebels from last year, but then they had a big score gap for a while, and then the Rebels closed it up like it was nothing, and it took a last minute winner. I mean, as losses go, it's hard to get a better one, if that makes sense. Like you did everything, you managed to come back, you weren't out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. 2 fantastic teams. I think they are the bar now that all the other teams are going to measure themselves against. I do think Alex has put them in a division on their own. I hope the rest of of the SBC is closing in. I think we'll see that over the course of the season. I do think it'll be tested. Both teams will be tested, and I certainly hope they will be tested. But what a cracker to start us off the SBC season.
You trying to give some insider not info there about testing them this year?
Look, I think every team in the SBC is going to try and test them. That's the problem with being way out in front, right? You pay the target on your back, whether it's the unbeaten Rebels or UCD, who've been back-to-back bowl games as well. So I don't think it's any secret. I don't think it's any kind of rah-rah talk to say, look, every other team in the division is going to try and beat them, and they're going to measure their success about how close they run them and if they beat them as well. So look, it's going to be important. It's going to be important for any kind of playoff run for the teams. And I think Alex nailed it on the head as well. It's going to be super dangerous for us because now the Rebels a little bit more than they were week one. It's going to have to be squeaky bum. And for a team that can certainly punish teams and make sure of emphatic wins, you certainly don't want to give them too many reasons to have to go and bury teams going through the season and put a mark on a season. So I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the rest of the season and all the matchups now between those two teams.
Yeah, I get the wounded animal sense off them there, that they're going to go and, lick their wounds and then come back when they face the UL Vikings in Limerick in a few weeks' time. So that game is going to be very interesting for the Vikings. Scott, you and the Cowboys, obviously, in the last few years have faced UCD and the Rebels. And, as someone has faced them most recently, what, the standard that they're playing at right now, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, it's unreal, absolutely unreal. But they both bring something different to it all. UCD is a lot more speed, and playing as a lineman, their speed was unreal. Getting off the line and me trying to keep up with them it's non-existent. And then you go to the Rebels, and they'll just try to manhandle you and just try and pick you up and throw you out of the way. So it's really is the unstoppable force makes them a movable object, and one's going to win one time, no one's going to win the next. So it's always a coin flip.
Have you seen the Tom Donovan catch from that game for his touchdown?
You mean the Odell Beckham?
Yeah,
Odell Beckham of an how do I?
Yeah. Hold on, we have to see this. Look at that!
Oh, and for a touchdown as well. It's not just
and for a touchdown
finish at the end. But that's what I'm saying. Look how great that video is. Look how crispy it is. Everything's in frame the whole way through. That's going to serve the AFI really well as a branding, as an ambassador to new fans. You get down to these games, they're free in. You get to watch some great level of football. That's a dime. That's a super catch. Look at the spiral, everything, the whole thing. It's good defense. He just beats him for a bit of speed. I'm really, really impressed.
Yeah. And a very, very happy Graham at the end of that. There we go. Perfectly ended, or perfect way to end that video right there. Yeah, fantastic video, fantastic catch. Now what we just need to do is, and I've heard from a couple of teams that are going to try it, is to start live streaming some games. That's the next step, and hopefully we can sort of get that going soon. A few teams have started to invest in the VO cameras, so hopefully they can be hooked up to live stream. We were able to do it for the flag last year, so hopefully we can do it for the kid this year. Have a comment coming in here from Owen. Do I enjoy my year off? I don't have a year off. I'm not talking about it a lot, but I'm playing this year. Anyway, anything more to add to the UCD game before we move on? No? Brilliant. Okay. Final game of Sunday, the UL Vikings 24, the Cork Admirals 24. Another fantastic game to start off in the Premier Division. A terrific comeback from the Vikings in their first game back in the Premier Division. Cork showed no signs early on of missing QB Stephen Hayes, with Jay Kennedy throwing 2 touchdown passes, both to Declan May. Running back Fionn Kremen rushed for a touchdown too, but we heard on Green Zone last night that he was actually forced out of the game with a pretty bad hamstring injury, so hopefully he'll be back in some decent shape soon. Yeah, lads, a game that I know obviously, Alex, you weren't playing, or you were playing, so you weren't really keeping up with it at the time. But we weren't hearing a lot from the game, obviously, unless you were at it. And it was little random droplets of information were coming out every now and again that Cork were 8-0 up, and then Cork were 4-0 up. Then it was halftime, and then it was 18-24, and then suddenly it was 24-24. I'm sure an absolutely thrilling game to be at. But Fionn, I'll start with you on this one. Sort of a great way for the Vikings to sort of put their stamp on the Premier Division within their first year back, obviously since dropping down a couple of years ago.
Absolutely. And look, we went through our predictions last week, and I flagged it as probably the closest game we were going to see in terms of our predictions, and I actually picked the UL to win against the grain. The lads were going for Cork. I think it's a great statement. I think they would have been bitter to miss out on a win. But at the same time, a comeback from 24-0 down, that's got to make you excited about your capabilities in the SBC. As you said, they're no strangers to it. They certainly knew that they were capable of it, but I think there's a big difference between knowing you're capable of it and actually translating it onto the pitch. So again, one of those teams took a little bit longer than their opposition to get going, but once they did, 24 points against an SBC opponent when it's your first year back up again, they got to be delighted with that. I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to be really proud. And then on the Cork side, as you said, not always easy to have to deal with your starter going out. I don't know how much time they had to prep. Obviously, they kept that quiet. We haven't heard much coming out of the Admirals camp. I think they'll be slightly disappointed for the new boys to come up and be able to close that 24-point gap on them. But again, it's the start of the season, so a little bit of rust maybe on the defensive side of things. I'm sure they'll be a little bit tighter. They've got a fantastic defense. So hopefully going forward, they'll be able to tighten that up a bit into the games coming up.
Yeah, talk about being drip-fed information. We got into the locker room after the game and got the update. Oh, it's 24-0 Admirals at halftime. I was like, oh, Jesus, tough reintroduction for the Vikings. Then about 2 seconds later, oh, it's 24-all at full time. So fair play to UL on pulling it back. I think Cork started well, aired the ball out with their new QB deputizing for Stephen there, but I believe there was a bit of a sideline schmozzle, to use GA parlance, that might have got UL fired up and sort of kicked them into gear to put up 4 touchdowns of their own to get back on. If they had converted any one of them, they would have won that game. So just a narrow draw there. They weren't far off making the full comeback and getting the win. So that's going to be a massive confidence booster for them. And you're going to need all the confidence you can muster going into a game against the Rebels. But who's to say they won't cause yet another upset in that game? It's got to be really confidence boosting for Fionn and for Finn O'Donovan there, and a really young Vikings team. I don't think they're going to be as maybe hesitant going into a Rebels game. They'll just take it as it comes and want to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah. Scott, we going back to, we asked for the hot takes from people this year or from this past weekend, and a lot of them were about the Vikings, and a lot of them were to say that they are, in certain quotes, legit. They are elite. I know week 1 is probably the week that people overreact the most, but from your experience playing Cork as well, for a team to come back against them like this, it has to be impressive, and it has to be, looked at from other teams in the Premier Division and taken quite seriously.
Definitely, to me it shows it's no fear. The 24 down at the half, and what else are you going to do? You're going to go out and play football, and you're able to put up scores. And very unlucky just not to come away with any of them point after attempts. Should be a really good confidence boost, really, to push them forward. I think they're playing the Trojans, I think, maybe this weekend, or is it Rebels?
Yeah, Trojans this weekend, and then Rebels in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah,
2 weeks'
just gives
time.
them a bit more confidence to go into it.
Well, whatever that argy-bargy was, they might want to do it in the first quarter this time and get off to a hot start, as Alex called it.
I think they just have to start something with either Dave or Chris, and then that'll get them going at the start. I'm sure it won't be a problem. Just remember, lads, they didn't give you a congratulations post for winning the ball last year. So, if you need some tackling fuel, that's what.
That's why it took them so long to beat us in the bowl. We're just so nice.
So I don't want BTs. They're too nice. They give us class pizza and beers and stuff. Why?
Kill them with kindness.
Right. That is our week 1 wrap up. We're going to look ahead to week 2. We're going to start in Division 1 because obviously our guest this evening is playing this weekend in Division 1. That is, of course, the Donegal Dairy Vipers at home to the Craigavon Cowboys in the Vale Centre. Just some stuff from last year, of course. The Vipers had a down year last year, looking to bounce back and challenge for either try and get one of those last playoff spots, or even make a run in the Shield playoffs. The Cowboys relegated last season to the Premier Division, looking to go straight back up. Scott, it was a disappointing year last year from the Cowboys' perspective, dropping down to Division 1. We've seen teams like one that we've just spoken about, like the Eagles, drop down divisions, rebuild, and then come back stronger. Do you think possibly that the Cowboys dropping this year to Division 1 could be a bit of a blessing in disguise to sort of allow the team rebuild and sort of make sure when they do go back up that they stay up?
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely a blessing in disguise. It's just a tough year. You're playing teams like the Rebels and UCD, and you're maybe turning up. I think we went down to the Rebels with 16 or 17 guys. So on a good day with the full squad, it's hard to play the Rebels. Never mind going down with very, very small numbers. So a year down, hopefully a year down anyway. Rebuild and see where it goes from there, really. But we're not really looking too far ahead. We're literally just going to take it a game at a time and see where it takes us, type of thing.
How has the off season been for the team now? Have you been able to sort of recruit well?
Yeah, we've had a very, very good recruitment drive so far. Brought in a lot of rookies. Quite a few more linemen as well, which I think is quite hard to come by on this island. So that's good. I might actually get a bit of a break this year. We're just on depth. I think it's been really, really, really key as well. So yeah, I think we're in good shape.
Mm-hmm. We have to talk about those new unis, though. Have to talk about those new uniforms, man. Let's. Where was the? Well, actually, this off season has been like the year of the uniforms. The Sexy Bowl last year obviously has caused teams to reevaluate things and want to get new sets of jerseys out for sure. But in some of the stuff you've been talking about, you've or the team, I should say, has been talking about in terms of giving a little bit of a head nod back to previous teams. Was that always going to be the sort of inspiration that you were going to use?
I think so. Yeah, I think just that after last year and having such maybe a down year, you call it, or whatever you want to call it, really. But I think it was just a good time to sort of look at ourselves and see what was happening, and looking back at the Cowboys of the past, and paying a bit of respect to them. But we want to turn around and make our own history. We want to make ourselves better. So I think with the nod to the past and look to the future, that's what we're going for.
And was there any reason you couldn't make them look nice, Scott, or was that just a creative choice?
I'm going to take that first. That was my design.
I didn't even know that, but that makes the joke even better.
I like the black ones now. You can't look bad playing football in black. I like the nod to the past. I mean, you're a historic franchise in the league, so I do like that. I think it's nice touch. I'd be nice to you. Again, Mavericks row is nice. You just remember that, Scott, when it comes to that 24th. Yeah.
See, Fion's all talk because he knows he's not behind you this year. But also, I think he's a little pissed off because you kind of stole the idea. Because I think at the Pirates, we were looking at new jerseys and we were going to do black and orange. So Fion's a little tick that you got there first.
Yeah, but ours were going to be nice, Tara.
It's kind of it doesn't matter whether they're going to be nice or not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they are now.
Happening.
They won't be nothing. Yeah, that's fair.
Uh,
Scott has the last laugh on that one.
I heard a whisper about it, so how to get ours out first, how to get that sorted.
Although you did piss off a certain running back over in Zurich that you didn't actually put enough pictures up and you didn't let him know sooner.
Oh God, no! It's you can't have everything, like, you know what I mean. he's on a Shamrock Bowl. He's away over playing in Europe, like, so. You can't get everything in one go.
That's a fair.
Will it be the black or the orange debuting up in Derry?
That's a great question, Alex. That's why we pay this man.
Hey,
who's paying him? I'm not.
You're not getting paid. Oh,
I'm not paying him, man.
It's in the post.
To be confirmed.
Keeping us in suspense for that bit longer.
Oh no, it has to be the black, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It has to be. It has to be. I have it in my head. It's just okay. Derry are the Vipers are at home. They play in red. You're not going to be playing in orange.
Yeah, no, I think as far as I'm aware, hopefully I'm right here in saying this. The orange jersey is the home one, and the black one's the away one.
That's fair. I don't think you can wear orange up to the red and yellow of Derry. It's that would be quite a colour clash there. Anyone who's not colourblind at the game will be colourblind after seeing it.
Poor Steve.
Well, see now, we got a lot of. I open it up to the listeners, to ask you a question if they wanted to, and I'm guessing you kind of know what the theme of the questions were.
Don't know.
Which of the Buchanans is the better baller?
I mean, is it really a question? Like, you know what I mean?
I think for loyalty's sake, we're going to have to go with you. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I would say Joe's maybe had more experience. That's maybe the diplomatic answer.
Oh, okay, diplomatic is fine. All right, that's fair. If you can. Don't worry about it. Joe's not going to listen to this anyway. No one does, so it's fine. But that was the theme. So we have which brother is better? What's it like being better than your older brother? Who will win the Battle of the Buchanans? Actually, I just got this one here from Evan Quigley at the Vikings. Would you rather have hands for feet or feet for hands?
As a lineman, you definitely want feet for hands. No holding.
Fair point.
Ask John McArdle.
Why has he got feet? That's gone over my head.
John is gonna kill me, but we love John. He's our right tackle, an absolute legend of a man, and a Maverick icon. But he does have a big toe for a thumb due to an injury he suffered a long time ago. Yeah, so that's the story.
Football.
Not a football injury, no, manual labor injury.
Less glamorous.
Yeah, so he can answer that question. He's probably the only man equipped in the league to maybe answer that question.
He should definitely play
John,
without a glove and hold his hand up to the umpire every time he gets called for holding. Like, how are you going to call me for holding with this?
Yeah.
Is it technically though? If he uses that hand, it's class as kicking. Shouldn't it be
tripping?
A flag?
Could be tripping.
It could be tripping.
No comments.
It's definitely not batting.
I'm gonna have to get onto Steve Moles about this now. We had a pirate who was our center. If you remember Liam, he used to have a boxing glove.
Yeah.
He used to wear a boxing glove. So maybe we'll have to try and get John in a boxing glove just to make sure that there's no tripping penalties going on here.
Just one of the big clubs like Jason Pierre-Paul used to go out wear after his own finger-related mishap.
Yeah, that was him being stupid. At least John was trying to do a job, so give that to him. Give that to him. But anyway, lads, we're going to do a few predictions for this game now because we got way off track there. This was meant to be about Scott and getting ready for the season in Division 1. Now we're talking about finger thumbs and toe thumbs and anyway. Look, and Evan Quigley, thanks for that. That's his fault. He started that one.
Exactly.
Scott, ahead of the game this week, how has the preparation been? You've had a chance to have a couple of scrimmages against other teams in the lead up to the season. Do you feel the Cowboys are in a good place to challenge this year? And do you think that playoffs is going to be the main aim?
Yeah, I suppose I don't know is the way to maybe to answer that in short. It's more a case of I don't really know what to expect. We feel pretty good. We know our systems. We know what we're doing. It's just you don't really know. We're dropped down a division. We don't know anyone. The last time we were here was 2019. And sure, since that we've had COVID, there's been two full seasons. A lot has changed, so we're kind of going back into the unknown. But we feel good. We know our stuff, so we'll just see, I suppose.
Very diplomatic. You've had these answers ready all day. There's no catching. You got to get up very early in the morning to catch you out there, sir, for this one. Lads, predictions for this game. Vipers against the Cowboys. Who are you going with, Fionn? I'm going to start with you first.
Yeah, look, tough season for the Vipers last season. The Cowboys coming down. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I think there's going to be a couple of scores in it, probably 14 points. I think the Vipers will be happy if they get on the board. So why don't I go 14-28 to the Cowboys?
Okay. I wasn't going to go scores, but if you want to do scores, that's fine.
Sometimes Alex. I do, sometimes I don't.
I'm going to have to give the nod to the Cowboys as well. Their experience will be massive in coming down, and as Scott says, they've retained and built with a good rookie roster. I think they'll put up a couple of scores and bud them rookies in Sunday's game.
Yeah, I'm going to agree as well. I'm going to say Cowboys to win this game. Since Fionn likes doing scores, I might as well throw a score in there. I'm going to go 26-15. Just, I don't even know if it's going to be possible to do, but yeah, I'm going to say 26-15. Scott, if you want, you can give us a score line, and if it works, you never know. You might be the one getting paid instead of Alex.
Well, I'll maybe not give a score, but I think I don't think I'd be led back near the team if I didn't say the Cowboys would win. So I'll stop with the diplomacy there. The Cowboys to win.
Fair enough. That's grand.
To win, Cowboys to win and look good doing it. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Right, Fionn, I guess it's time to talk about your team because we're going on Premier Division. It's the South Dublin Panthers against the Westmeath Minotaurs in the Trinity Sports Ground. So it's like a proper home game for you now.
It is, yeah. First of all, the probably least anticipated secret of the whole off season where I'll be playing this is I don't think anyone really gave a rat's, but sure, we made a game of it anyway, Dara. We got this far. So yeah, we'll be playing for the Panthers this season. Yeah, interesting to start off. I didn't realize just until this week that it will be in Trinity. So a fully proper home game for me. I'm going to feel comfortable around the area, around the facilities as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First taste of SBC action.
Yeah, and the Panthers themselves, of course, looking to get that fourth spot. How has preparations been with the team this year?
Yeah, look, I've really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we don't have Rob around. He obviously played the last couple of seasons with the Panthers, so I feel like, do you know what I mean? I haven't played a game or anything. I don't want to go too deep into it. I don't want the lads to feel like I'm kind of commenting on stuff I shouldn't be, and I feel that's important as well. So at the moment, I'm just being around the staff. I've been there about 5 weeks now, maybe 6, just trying to learn as much as I can. It's a big step up for me. So in terms of personal side of things, I'll just be looking to get as many snaps in as I can. I'm attending every practice session, get as many reps in under my belt, and just be ready to play in as many positions as I can, just to give a hand out wherever is necessary during the week. I think the guys have been super positive the last 5-6 weeks. I think Coach O'Sullivan, it's been ramping up the way that he wants it to. The weather's been challenging over here in Dublin, so there's been a couple of scrambles around the last couple of weekends, make sure the training is solid. But, you know, fair play to the lads. We all did what needed to be done, and I think everyone is positive with the way it's trending. So I'm not going to speak to what the anticipation is. I think that's for the guys to say. I want to play a few games before I take on that burden. But in terms of my own personal side, yeah, I've been really enjoying it, and I'm just looking forward to get and contribute in whatever way I can. Like I said, coming up from Division 2, grain of salt is my phrase this week apparently. So I'm going to take myself with a little pinch of salt, not expect too much, just try and get in there and help out wherever I'm asked to, and take it from there.
Yeah, well, it is going to be a tough game against the Minotaurs, of course, with Joe Kinahan under centre. We had the chance to scrimmage them a couple of weeks ago. Joe is rightly regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He has a great receiving core as well, and that defense can be quite stout too. Alex, this is an interesting game, especially with last season. They came up against each other early last season, and the Panthers came away with a win, to a lot of people's surprise, because the previous week the Minotaurs had won against the Knights, and the Panthers had lost to the Admirals, and Panthers' numbers were low and people were speculating, so they sort of were able to bounce back and get a good win. It's all about, hitting the ground running after seeing the result of the Vikings game being a draw, to seeing the news of, Stephen Hayes out for a period of time. There's a chance for that playoff spot, that fourth spot, and possibly even third maybe, to be taken. And if either of these teams are thinking about taking that spot and making a run at the playoffs, they really have to start fast this week and get a win early.
Yeah, look, I think the Panthers have a good bit of newness about them. New head coach in Owen O'Sullivan, new superstar player in Fionn there. So they've got a good bit of new stuff. It'll take a little while to gel. I wouldn't be surprised to see, like many other teams this past weekend, them to start a little slowly. Whereas I would maybe say that Westmeath have more of a settled core about them. They've been playing the same football for a number of years now. Maybe wouldn't be surprised to see them get out to an early lead, but then see the Panthers fight back. But I think this is definitely going to be a close one. I think it really could go either way, but whatever team comes out the better of it will be feeling really good about their campaign, and the team that's on the losing end will be scrambling and know that they can't afford too many more losses if they want to be making the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Scott, again, I'm going to sort of tap into your previous experience sort of playing these teams. The Minotaurs were able to establish themselves last year as a Premier Division side. Like I said, the Panthers are looking, after the disappointment of not making the playoffs last year in controversial manner, they're looking to make sure that they do make it this year. From your experience, obviously playing these sides, who do you sort of give the edge to this week?
Good question. I don't know. I mean,
I'm known for my good questions. I'm not sure.
I mean, they're both beat us near enough by the same score. I think it was like 38-0 and 33-0. So like there wasn't much in between the two of them. To me, there's a little bit more unknown about the Panthers. I've heard certain things about QBs and receivers and who's there and who's not there. I haven't heard too much out of Westmeath, but what I have heard is they're still the same sort of group. So, as Alex said, it's a bit of a coin flip. Like, if I was to pick one, probably leaning slightly towards Westmeath. Like, sorry, Kieran.
All right, that's all right.
But let's actually then get into predictions. So, Scott, you're going sort of with Westmeath. Alex, who have you got this week?
I really think this one is going to be quite close. We had a tie last weekend. Are we going to go for tie again? No, it's probably not likely, is it? I think Westmeath. I'm gonna pick for JK47 there, joking and slinging the ball about. And it'll be a close one though, maybe by a field goal.
Okay. A few people have said that as well, that they think that Westmeath can come to Dublin and cause an upset. Kind of torn on that too. You know, one person that we haven't talked about, and that should be talked about, of course, is Finn Kearns. He was fantastic at QB last season. I think I'm saying no, I have no insider knowledge because Fionn won't tell me, but I think that he's playing QB again this year. Other podcasts are starting to speculate whether or not Matty O'Meara is going to play for them, but I don't think that's going to happen, at least not this week. So yeah, I think there's like you said, there's a lot of newness, you know, new head coach, a lot of new players coming in, you know, probably new things getting installed. Westmeath are more settled. I'm going to go with the more settled team going into week one, and that's going to be the Minotaurs to win this game. Fionn, I'm guessing you're going with a Panthers win anyway.
Yeah, going to take the Panthers win, get the head down, get the feet underneath us, as I've said for every other team into week one. Handle whatever gets thrown at us at the start of the game, and then settle into our own rhythm. I think I'm gonna play dumb a little bit in all this speculation that's going on. That's the way it is out there. I'm not going to do anything to change that. But I think it's just
Fionn, why do I have you on the show if you're not giving us exclusives?
Because I'm the looks, Dara. You're the talent, and I'm the looks. That's how
If
this is. I
you're
don't know
the
what
looks,
Alex
we're in
is.
trouble.
He's some sort of.
I'm the hair. I'm the hair.
And the hair.
And Scott's the guest. So like, I think it makes perfect sense. No, look, the reality is, I think it's going to be about playing our own game. If we can do that, of course we're confident. That's where we've been training. That's the way we've been prepping all off season. I say all off season. The lads have, and I've been joined in, and I'm very happy with what I've been seeing. That the standard's been super high. Of course, take that as you will. I'm coming from Division 2. As great as the Pirates were, it's a significant jump. So and it's felt like a significant jump. So as far as even my prediction is worth anything, I'm gonna take back our man all the way, and we're gonna take the Panthers.
Okay. We got a question from Chris McGee, obviously from Green Zone. What did I miss, or what I miss? Great timing for a question.
That's cool.
Yeah, grammar, obviously. Missed. You're actually just in time because we are going to chat about his new team. The Belfast Trojans are traveling to Limerick to take on the Vikings in the last of our previews for this weekend. The Trojans keep things in-house very well. From what little they give out in terms of their social media, you know, having numbers is not an issue for them. Same with Limerick. They are looking to obviously start off the season better than they did last year. They're looking for, I think Chris has said they're looking for at least that second spot, if not maybe first, making the playoffs without the controversy that surrounded it last year, making that next step. But Alex, the the Trojans coming up against a Viking side that had to put a lot into getting that result last Sunday. Not a lot of rest time for the guys. Who are you giving the edge to in this?
Yeah, not a whole lot of rest time for the lads, but as I said, Limerick are quite a young team, so I don't think that would bother them. Maybe as a more seasoned team, might struggle with that. Young college lads, they can do anything. Jesus, what I wouldn't give to be back that age again. But I think, as you said, the Trojans are a great organization. They will have their team drilled, to the max there. They've had their off-season scrimmages with the likes of UCD, so they'll consider themselves fairly well tuned. But maybe that rust that, like, it seems that again nearly every team suffers at the start of the season. Maybe that rust can let Limerick get a score up on them, and if a team can punch you in the mouth early, even get 2 scores up and maintain that lead, it can buy them, and really they could see it through. But I would still think I'd back the Trojans with their experience there again. But I also said that about the Admirals, and UL proved me wrong there. So I think it's going to be another close one, but I'd maybe give an edge to the Trojans.
Yeah, look, as long as the Trojans leave early, it's a long drive down there. You don't want to go too quickly. Maybe they can get their helicopter to drop them down as well. I know they were messing around with a helicopter at some point last season, so that could be one way of getting them down. I have to say, I agree a lot with Alex. I'm not going to add too much on and just repeat what he said. I think he nailed it. I think you got to go with their experience at the moment. It's just about whether they can get their heads underneath them. I don't have any necessarily questions about the UL boys' fitness. I'm sure they're super fit lads, and he says it's not a joke. That young body of players can certainly, if any team can handle a few games on the bounce, it's them. I guess, Dara, do you know, is that because they're a university side that they've been scheduled for 3 early games, or is that just a fluke of the system? Is that to help them out with kind of bodies later towards the season?
I don't know for sure if that's the case, but it kind of, look, if you're playing 3 games in 4 weeks, it kind of points that way, where I think UCD are the similar in terms of they get games early, because I think around May time is when the exams are on, so they won't be scheduled for games around then. So just obviously to help them when the exams are on.
I think that's exactly right. UL don't have a single game scheduled in May, so it's probably exams.
So look, I think it's part of what they're just going to have to accept in order to stay competitive throughout it. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't think it's by any stretch a write-off for the UL lads, but as Alex says, they're going to have plenty of challenges now. They've wetted their beak, so to speak, and the challenges don't stop coming, especially when you're in the SBC.
Yeah, and it's not just the script writers that seem to have no chill and hate Liam Ryan. I heard other people do as well, but I won't name names. Scott, on this game, like I said, it's a long day for the Trojans, and we've talked ad nauseum about the lack of turnaround time for the Vikings. What are you looking at in this game particularly? What do you want to see from, say, the Trojans to make you believe that they are going to be a serious contender in the Premier Division this year?
I think just to get back to the Trojan sort of football, like pre-COVID, they were just this unstoppable machine. I just think they can get Big Dom on a quarterback, and I know they've a lot of receivers and certainly a couple of running backs there too, and a couple new-ish additions to the O-line. Like, offense can get going, defense can, if it gets clicking as well, it can be a nuisance for people. So I just think if they just get back to what they were good at and just play ball, just punch people in the face and keep trucking. Like.
Yeah. And obviously, we were talking about new unis. Speaking of uniform combos, they have pretty sick uniform combo going down to UL, going with the all black, or was it the Arcanine or whatever they're calling it?
Anthracite.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know, but that's what sometimes they call black. That's not black, but I didn't.
Really, 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 really dark blue.
I think it might be worth noting it's a 2 p.m. kickoff as well for that game to give the Trojans the extra time to get down there.
Yeah, fair play. Actually, that's something that I think needs to be addressed. I don't like this whole until the clocks move, we have to start at 1 o'clock. Just stick them all at 2 o'clock. Just like, what time did you have to leave at on Sunday, Alex, to get down for a 1 o'clock kickoff?
We left at 9 to be there.
All right, that's not too bad.
9 a.m. Yeah, it's a 2 hour spin. We left at 9 to be there for 11. Yeah, it's not the worst. I think that the worry is in Ireland, where if the weather is bad, and as it was just prior to the weekend, it can get quite dark around 5. And if a game goes slightly long and it's in darkness, it's just a hassle to have to call it and then play the last 10 minutes again on another weekend. So I can understand it from the league side, but it is much prefer that 2 p.m. kickoff time.
Yeah, for sure. Right, predictions then on this one. Scott, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Who have you got, Vikings or Trojans?
I think I'm going to go a little bit against the grain here. I'm going to go Vikings. I think their game last week, being able to score points late and get a tie is give them a good standing. Plus, then short week, bounce back. They're still in game mode. They're focused. They have a game under their belt. So the Trojans, as I said, it's a long drive. It's also the first game of the season, so there's going to be a few things down and out throughout the game. Limerick should be able just to come in and hit the ground running. Like,
Alex.
Do you know what? I'd actually love Limerick to tie again and just go 0-8 for the season. That'd be interesting. But I do think Belfast. I do think Belfast will put it up to them, and they won't. Not to say the Cork took their foot off the gas or anything, but Belfast will be aware that they have a match ahead of them. They won't be taking anything for granted. They'll know going down there, okay, these lads have just come back against Cork. They're no pushovers. We have to be on point from minute one. So I think I'll give the Trojans the nod this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the Vikings. I'm going to take the long trip for the Trojans down. The game last week for UL freshened up. They're going to be lively from the get-go. And also just because I feel like that would add more chaos, and I want Dara to have as many feuds about this power ranking by the end of the season. So I want it to be as hard as possible for him to rank teams and just like really get in the nitty-gritty of it. So I'm going to go for the UL boys on this one.
Okay. I'm going to go Trojans myself. I think that they want to hit the ground running this year. This is the difficult thing, because we obviously, as good as the coverage has become in the league, we still don't hear a lot in the off season unless obviously someone with the team and stuff like that. So it's kind of tough to evaluate where the Trojans are right now, kind of going on sort of last season and
they could show up with just Chris.
Oh well, at least Dave.
Like that for all we know.
That's the problem. Our two, they don't tell our two insiders anything because they have the biggest matches going.
They know them too well not to tell them anything.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is. They know them too well.
Those guys think it's a home game on Sunday. Let's hold them to just be at Darramore 2 p.m. Sunday. Don't worry about it, lads.
Well, look, listen. 2 players that shall not be named showed up late for their game this past weekend because they thought the kickoff was at 2 o'clock instead of 1.
Yeah. See, that's why I was letting them know.
That's just poor preparation.
Kickoff.
Yeah, look, it is. It is.
You should be getting to the game 2 hours before kickoff. To be fair,
exactly.
It should never happen.
Why? Even if right, the kickoff was at 2 o'clock. Why are you showing up at 2 o'clock? Why aren't you there from like 12:30 or something like that? Either way. That's it. Those 2 are just on special teams duties for the rest of the season. That's it. Until they start showing up. Lads, it's been a pleasure. Scott, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. Best of luck on Sunday. And obviously, we're looking forward to having you down in Castleknock in a couple of weeks for sure, too.
Happy days. Thanks very much for having me. Had a blast. Like.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Alex, thank you so much again. Week 2, you're already killing it. I think a few comments on our Instagram live has you now as the new number 1 ranked member of the Under Center podcast Sexy Bowl. So you are good for that.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Fionn, at the former looks of the show, thank you.
Unseated, yeah, and I'll have my first SBC experience by the time we speak next, Dara. So that's going to be interesting to report back on.
Yeah, best of luck.
Best of luck is right. You show up with a face battered next week, and I'm gonna do like a before and after. I'm gonna have them side by side now,
just to cement Alex in there.
Like yeah.
I didn't get any stick that in your podcast yet. It's maybe because I'm not as well known yet, but I want to get that counter up there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's gonna happen a lot on the 23rd for sure.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, that'll happen for sure. Because like that, Fionn gets away with it because Fionn's not the face of it anymore. So Alex is the new face, so you're gonna get tons of it, especially the 24th against Scott. Yeah. Scott, you're gonna have to tell him now to shove it up his podcast. So now you can, then he can go back at you saying, "Shut up your episode." Something we'll get something going like that for sure. Well, like that's where we're going to wrap up this edition of the show. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video if you're watching on YouTube and you're subscribed to us on YouTube as well to be kept up to date with all the latest shows. We'll have another show for you later on this week. I'm going to be talking to Sam Potter, ex Belfast Knight, who's heading over to Sweden to play his ball. So that's going to be good to hear about his journey. Make sure you follow us on the socials at UnderCenterPod on Instagram and on Twitter. Make sure you follow on Instagram as well. We'll keep you up to date with everything AFI for the next couple of months. But until next time, stay safe and we will see you soon.